Now that everyone's out of Silky, how are we going to finish her off? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 7 of Dan. So, sorry for the lighting, it's really dark out today, so I'm using my ring lights. It's actually a lot darker than this normally, but gotta make do with what we got. Um, and mind you, as always, I'm recording this the week before when this first came out. So, the day you're seeing this might not be that cloudy. That being said, as of recording this, I do still have a little bit of the cold. It's definitely getting better. I'm like not doing poorly or anything. It's as it was before. It's mostly just scratchy throat, slight cough occasionally, etc., etc. A little bit of sinus issues, but nothing major. And like I said, it continues to do better bit by bit as I continue to nurse it the best I can. Um, so yeah. Moving on though. Last episode, Ira took center stage. The main character of her own mind, she found one of Okaroon's balls and believes that it is a gift from heaven proving she is the chosen one or some shit. Um she tried to take down Momo because she believes that she's a demon because she saw her psychic powers because Ira herself unlocked abilities through having the ball and the psychic energy that was kept within it. Um, she tried to take out Momo, but that's when Acrobatic Silky came in, who is a spirit that seems to have like this desire of motherhood towards Ira. Because apparently Ira, from what we're able to tell, saw her when she was a kid. When Ira was a kid, she saw Silky, probably some innate spiritual sense, and she called her mommy. And ever since, Silky has been watching over her and now wants to actually be considered as such again by Ira. Now that Ira can see her. Like, really see her. So, when she didn't get what she wanted, though, she just ate her. Because she's a crazy spirit who's, probably not all there anymore. Kind of like with what happened with the location bound spirit. That was the amalgamation of all those girls. It's like it's not her fault necessarily that she's become twisted like this. It's just what happens. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this closes out because she swallowed Ira, she swallowed Okaroon, she swallowed Momo. And if it wasn't for the fact that when swallowing Momo, she swallowed some of her own hair, she probably would have won. Because if she hadn't swallowed her own hair, then Momo wouldn't have been able to use the lighter to light it up and to set Acrobatic Silky on fire. And of course, Turbo Granny takes credit for it because she's in a lucky cat. And it's like, oh, well, I bring the luck. I'm that cool. um, yeah, really interesting. Now, before we get this started, I do want to say that there have been manga readers who have been hyping the shit out of this episode. They have not said why. In fact, they've actually been pretty good about that. For this entire series so far, from what I've seen, most manga readers have been very good about keeping spoilers away from the anime onlys. It's like, do we actually have a respectful anime fandom, manga slash anime fandom for once, where we're not going to just spoil the shit out of things because we act like everybody will have had to have seen the manga or read the manga? I hate that so much. But it's like, yeah, they've actually been pretty good about that, and they seem to almost be going out of their way to not spoil the manga for anime onlys. But they have been hyping this up nonetheless, which is, kind of on the fence and everything. I've talked about this in the past. It's like, it's not really spoiling anything, but you are setting expectations, and that can sometimes lead to disappointment. But, yeah, they're hyping it up a great deal, and I don't know why. I don't know what it's going to be about or why it's going to be so big. Maybe something related to Silky or Ira, or both. That's the only thing I can really think of here. But yeah, manga fans have been really, like, excited for this episode, and I'm excited to see why. So we're going to get into it, hope for the best, and see what episode 7 gives to us. So let's get this going. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday and Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays are Life is Strange Double Exposure. Wednesdays and Sundays are Beyond Two Souls. And Saturdays is Nier Automata. And don't forget to click the link in the description to follow it to today's reaction. I redirect everything just due to copyright. Also, please subscribe to the channel and like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's begin today's reaction. And we're back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Well... So, if you're new to the channel, if you're checking this out for Dan, there's something that I tend to say a lot when it comes to shows, or I guess pretty much any piece of media, but especially shows. I I'll often enough say that when a show makes me cry, it's won me over. And mind you, this show already won me over. Like I was already very hooked. But yeah, this episode did it for me. It's I see why this episode had so much hype from the manga readers. Why it was being, hyped up so much. Now my nose is stuffing, and that's wonderful. And mind you, this is not the first time that they've done this shit. Like, we got the backstory for the location-bound spirit being the amalgamated souls of all of those girls who were raped and murdered in and around the tunnel. We kind of have a bit of a backstory for Turbo Granny. Being someone who is looking out for the spirits of girls and trying to protect them and all. And now we did the same for this. We haven't done that with any of the aliens, but I mean that might be coming in the future. Um, but this was the most in depth one of these has been. With the location bound spirit, it was basically just mentioned by Granny Seiko. Same with Turbo Granny. These were things that were just like brought up briefly. But with this, we get like a full sequence that shows everything that happened. And let me try to see if I got this right. And you can correct me if there's anything I missed or whatnot. So I'm just going to call her Silky for sake of ease because I don't think we know her actual name. Silky was a single mother living kind of paycheck to paycheck. She didn't make a lot of money. She wasn't very well off, and her mental health seemed to not be great either. But the one thing that brought her pure joy and love was her daughter. She would teach her daughter to dance. She would use the little bit of excess money that she could to get her daughter this beautiful dress, which is absolutely the dress that Silky was wearing. And she would do whatever she could to make sure her daughter had a good life. But in order to do so, and maybe part of the reason why she had enough money to be able to buy that dress, it seems like she probably took out loans. And these guys that were attacking her and, took her daughter, they were probably loan sharks or whatnot, who she wasn't able to pay back. And so they came to collect through other means. They attacked her, they threw her around the house, and they ended up kidnapping her daughter. And we have no clue if the daughter's alive or not. It's very possible she is. Of course, we also don't know exactly how long ago Silky's backstory was. We know that she would have had to have died probably either right before or right after Ira's birth. Or maybe it was like right around the same time Ira's mother died. It had to have been before Ira saw her, obviously. And Ira was 5 there, so like maybe 10 years ago. I think it's likely enough that she probably passed away just a little bit before that, though. Um, but yeah, it's then exceptionally possible that her daughter is still alive. We just have no knowledge. We don't know. But Silky was horrifically injured by these sharks, and when she was able to, she ran out of the apartment to try and find them, to try and find her daughter, but ended up bleeding out and dying in the street. When she returned to the world as a spirit, unable to pass on, she had started to forget, started to lose her memory on exactly why she was still there, what business was left unfinished. And it was when Ira saw her and mistook her for her own mother, who had passed, as we saw, that Silky remembered her daughter, but only remembered enough to know that she had a daughter. And she thought at the moment that Ira was her daughter. And with both of them having at that point mistaken each other for their lost loved one, they basically didn't know what to do besides um, Ira kind of, I guess, forgot about it and moved on, but Silky didn't know what to do but keep watch over her until she could see her again and everything. And that's why she was so aggressive about loving her, and why she got so like insanely upset when she thought Ira had been driven to hate her and everything. It also is why she decided to give her life, her spiritual afterlife, to save Ira. And Momo saw all of this. Momo saw this entire backstory. Momo just completely understood in that moment. And all of her distrust and hatred kind of melted away. Because clearly Momo is like me and is an absolute sucker for sad backstories. um, Momo should check out One Piece. But yeah, it was so actively well done. From the way certain shots were composed to the animation on it, the intensity of when the loan sharks took her daughter and everything and assaulted her. It's like everything was so well handled that it's like, with barely any dialogue or any kind of like description of what's happening, you understood everything. It's like it's absolutely a case of an amazing case of show don't tell. Like probably one of the best examples of that in recent memory. And I'm just I'm just really impressed because like this could definitely be a herald of things to come. It could definitely be a sign of where this series is going, and really emphasize that first impressions are not everything to go by. Because you watch like the first episode of this, and with all of the insanity and wild bullshit that happens in that, and then you get to this episode, and it's like almost a completely different series in terms of its tone and emotion. Um, but obviously, you need to have the previous episodes to build up to this. And I'm glad that this didn't happen earlier on because, again, it needed to build up to it. It needed to have all this setup to make this work. Because a lot this backstory not only explains Silky's actions, Ira's actions are kind of explained too. Her main character syndrome is absolutely because of the promise she made to her late mother, that she would live a life that would be worthy of making her proud. She has this main character syndrome because she feels like it's what her mother would want of her. This confidence and just you know. Like I had already stated that Ira is definitely one of those characters who's going to grow and change and become a lot better as the series progresses, but it's like I was not expecting it this soon. This entirely recontextualized her character in kind of the best way. It turned her from a character who was a little bit insufferable, a character who was, annoying and kind of, needlessly like over the top with her self-centered views, and it made her exceptionally likable. Like, I am on Team Ira 100%. I'm not saying she's my favorite character. My favorite character is still Momo. But I am absolutely, like, on her side now. Because I understand why she is the way that she is. And it's breathtaking, honestly. It's that good. The pacing for getting this set up, the the setup itself, and how it's showcased Ira up to now, how it showcased Silky in the last episode. It's just like, I wasn't prepared for this. And I mean that obviously in the best way possible. But it's like, I was really holding my emotions in there. Like, you saw like the breaking point for me where I did start crying, but I was actually getting super emotional before then, pretty much the entire backstory sequence. Um and I was holding it in. I was actively trying to hold it in the best I could because because I didn't want my nose to get all stuffed up from crying. I've had sinus issues lately as it is anyway, and I didn't want that to be, worsened. Um, but I did break. I very much did, and luckily my nose didn't get super stuffed. It got like a little messed up, but not like too bad. Um, I like I said, like I said, when a show like makes me cry, like, and I'm not just talking like, oh, I'm like slightly getting emotional. I mean, like, makes me cry. It's won me over. And for a show that already won me over, for a show that already like was really doing it for me in terms of the humor, the characters, the insanity, the animation, the concept alone, for a show that had already won me over, it's like, it's like, this isn't a completely apt comparison because I don't really I don't really think that these numbers would be exactly correct. But just to make it clear how big of a jump up this episode did for me. It'd be like it'd be like moving up from a 6.0 to a 10. A 4-point jump. And like I said, that's not exactly correct. Like, I'm not saying that Dan was a 6.0 prior to this. It absolutely wasn't. It was more, I can't speak. It was more akin to probably a 9.0 for me. I liked it that much already. But it's like, that's just the best way I could put it for how much more I like it now. Because just saying, oh, it went from like a 9 to a 10 doesn't sound like it means much, right? It doesn't sound like that big of a deal. So if I compare it to like a 6 going to a 10, it sounds better. I'm just like exceptionally impressed. And I'm really happy that this show is doing so goddamn well too. because that's gonna mean like great things. Like I feel like we're absolutely gonna get a season two, and I feel like this is gonna become just even bigger in like the convention scene and whatnot. And like at Youmacon, I was at Youmacon back at the beginning of the month and everything, and there were quite a few cosplayers of Momo and Okaroon, and I think I even saw one Turbo Granny at one point, but didn't end up getting video to put in my cosplay music video. Which, by the way, check out my cosplay music video for Youmacon 2024. There's Dan cosplayers in that. But yeah, I didn't see really anything else, and I think a lot of people, a lot more than maybe for other shows even, are anime only on this one, or at least have just like maybe started checking out the manga because of the anime. But I feel like this maybe wasn't as known prior to the anime making it such a big name. And that's why, because it's still been pretty new, there wasn't as many cosplays yet. And the cosplays we got were just Momo and Okaroon, basically, for the most part. One Turbo Granny as well, but which makes sense. It's like those are the ones you would expect. But I very much hope to see cosplays of Ira, of Silky, of all of these characters. And even characters we haven't met yet. Oh, there was a Seiko as well at Youmacon. There was one Seiko as well. Don't want to forget that. But it was still mostly Okaroon and Momo. But yeah, I really hope to see like a lot more representation in the cosplay community for this series. I hope to see like more fan art and more merchandise, even both official and fan made. Excuse me. I just I hope to see a lot more with this because this series is like this is a big one. And it's not just a big one for like a majority of people out there, and oh, I'm not a big fan of it like some shows out there. Um, this is a big one for me too. This this is something special, I think, and I'm just like I'm exceptionally excited to see more. We still have one more character we have yet to meet. It's going to be interesting to see Ira like join the squad basically at this point. A lot of interesting implications that all of this brings up, especially since Ira died. Also, where the fuck are her friends? I hope her friends are okay. I hope they're not dead. Because it's like she died because she was swallowed by a spirit. But her friends were thrown by Momo's psychic hand into like a bunch of like pipes and shit, and it's like they were motionless. And we haven't seen them since. They're still in that warehouse. Right? They have to be because they didn't wake up. And with that warehouse being like attacked and destroyed by Silky, it's like, are they okay? Just it's just going to show you how invested I am in this. And like there's been shows in recent memory that have invested me this hard. There has been. Stuff like Link Click is a great example. Link Click like exceptionally won me over as well. Um Also made me cry. So except that one made me cry in the very first episode. It didn't even have to wait until episode 7. Excuse me. But I could see if this continues to be as good as it is, I could see this being up there for me. Like, I mean, up there with the likes of Link Click, which is one of my favorite shows. And I'm still waiting for the Bryden arc, which was supposed to come out in October, but who knows what's happening. We haven't heard anything else since. Uh, but yeah, I'm just I'm just really really excited for more. And fun fact, there's a convention I'm going to in January, EshoCon. AJ Beckles, who is the English dub voice of Okaroon, is going to be there. So that's pretty exciting. I'm probably gonna meet him. I'm probably gonna get to meet him. We'll see. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it, and especially if there's anything you think I missed or maybe misinterpreted with the backstory and everything. I would love to hear your views on that. Um, but yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode. Did it make you cry as well? Please don't tell me I'm alone in that. um, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie. I'm signing off, and I'll see you all next time.